Silence! It's time! It's time! It's
time for another episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 396 of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. I'm your host, always, I'm Tyler, and join me with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Man, it's a living breed, man. I am fucking excited for my weekend. That's how good I'm feeling right now. I'll tell you what, man, it's like with every the other bits of the craziness going on around the world during this week, I have been happy to not only keep on working, doing the things that I'm doing, but I've been so happy because I have been playing a lot of games on the PS4. Let me tell you. It's mostly having to do with Destiny 2 related stuff. So when we get into what we've been playing and stuff, yeah, I'll definitely tell you a little bit of my 2 cents and stuff in regards to the expansion that just came out not too long ago. But let me just say, for the whole elements of like Destiny 2 right now, it's like today was a special day for some people because the first raids for the new expansion came out, and it was a race to see who would complete it first. And it took a squad, a fire team, around, I want to say 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours to finish this raid, to actually go through the process and doing what they needed to do in order to complete it. But that was a little fun fact, because what Bungie had been doing is, like, for the first team, not only you get like you get like recognized by Bungie, but for all the ones that complete the raid by December 1st, there are people that are going to be eligible to get jackets.
Nice. That's cool.
But other things that I've been doing, I've been keeping track of a lot of the sales of the PS5, the Xbox Series X on the secondhand market, because like I was telling Tyler, I believe it was last week, man, there are some crazy ass sales going on in terms of scalpers and markups, and people literally selling PS5s and Xbox Series X's and stuff for twice or 3 times the initial worth. Hell, there's even news reports going on the past couple of days online that even like truck delivery drivers that are supposed to be delivering these systems like PS5, the Xbox Series X, they are switching them. Absolutely switching them with other electronics, and to some extreme cases, even cat food. Bags of cat food.
Hey, you can't go wrong with cat food.
Dude, and I'll tell you what, man, it's so messed up in general that truck drivers go into that extent, how they're that desperate in order to try to get not only a PS5, but more or less it's because, get a little bit more funds to seeing how much the PS5 is going on places like eBay. And I kid you not, listeners, we got people selling the PS5 and Xbox Series X on eBay. These consoles for like 1,000, maybe like a couple of thousand, because people are so desperate to get the new systems. It's online only, which that means scalpers and their bots buying everything up, being complete jerks as usual. Nothing new. It's the internet. But other than that, though, it's like I've been more or less focused upon getting things all straight and ready to go. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing for this week. How about you, Tyler?
It's been a pretty crazy week for me. I was telling you before the show. Had to travel this week. My first I've done a lot of trips for work, past work jobs before, going out of town and stuff like that, or going places, and never had one where I kind of stay overnight. And then I had to go to one this week that was 4 days, and without going into too much details, just a giant stressful clusterfuck from the beginning of the day Monday all the way through till I got back Thursday night. So that was a very long, stressful stretch of days for had training out of town, away from my boy Louie, whom I miss very much. But he did, he was hanging out with my family's house, and they have a bunch of dogs, so he was definitely in good hands. But just a long, stressful week. Pure exhaustion at this point. It literally took me like 5 attempts to actually get the intro out, which I don't think has ever happened before. I think it's like been a couple times where like it took me like once. It's taken me, I messed up once or twice, but never to that level. So that was interesting. But yeah, just a very long, stressful week. It's Saturday night. I got Sunday off, so I'm very much looking forward to finally having a day off tomorrow. Sitting around. I don't plan on leaving the house. The only time I want to go outside is to take Louis for a walk and let him go poop, and then I'm just gonna watch football. That's my plan. I'm gonna get as much sleep as possible and watch football. That's my plan for Sunday, and then probably order some really terrible food for me. I don't know what's gonna be yet, but it's gonna be something bad. I'm thinking some some good breakfast food would be good. Some hash browns and eggs. Ooh, that's good. Now I'm really hungry, but I'm doing okay. Today's my dad's birthday, so he's turned 51 today. So
there you go.
So went over there and talking to them, and it's funny because I was just kind of talking, kind of the way I am now, where it's like I'm trying to like stay perked up as much as possible. I'm actually having a good time though. I'm in a good mood. Saturday night, recording with my buddy Gables. Love doing it, drinking a beer. After a long week. But I was talking to my mom. She's like, you sound like you have jet lag without actually flying. And I'm like, that's really, that's wrong. Like, I feel like I did. I was telling Gills for the show. I'm like, I feel like I did when I got home after going to Vegas a couple years ago, minus all the fun. Like, if you just,
no shit.
Instead of 4 days of just pure joy and fun, minus, brooming with Knuckles or Jake and listening to him snore for 9 hours every night and not sleeping. Take that part out. The rest of it was a blast. But it's like that, but the opposite of the Vegas trip. And then also the jet lag, but also having to go right back to work for the next 2 days and work very long shifts. So, happy to be home. And, on top of that, didn't get a chance to play a lot of games while I was there. I took my PS5 with me, but the TV in the hotel was like 24 inches, and I was playing like 3 feet from the screen, and I'm like, I can't see. I was trying to play Madden, and I was like, it just looked bad. Everything was like blurry on it as well. So I was just like, I put it on practice mode, just kind of get like used to it, and I can't. It hurt my eyes to play the games on. So I am just streaming a bunch of YouTube and Netflix shit like that, just pass time by at night. But I'm happy to be doing this. Happy it's Saturday night. On top of that, I got a cool little thing for free in the mail right before I left.
Oh yeah,
Gables. I am finally in the next gen. I got a Google Stadia.
You got the actual Google Stadia.
Yes, I got it. It was free because I have the YouTube Premium. Go ahead.
I was offered that same thing when I was going on the YouTube Music. It's like, oh, hey, have a free Stadia. I thought about it. I thought about how I would use that, and I still said no to it.
Oh man, you gotta get it. Well, I said the main reason a lot of people got it. I mean, it's not just me, but one of the main reasons I did it is because of it comes with a Chromecast in it, which are not like they're kind of, I think they're like $40.
Yeah.
So it's just like a streaming stick. So I'm like, which I forgot it was in there, which I wish I would have known, because I would just brought that on the trip with me instead of lugging around my 20 fucking pound PS5. And also the fear of like it getting stolen or broken on my trip. All that, on the anxiety on top of everything else. But so I have that now. It's still on the packaging. I haven't even fucking take it. It's sitting right here. I'm looking at it right now. I haven't even taken it out. It's right next to my Game & Watch that I bought last week. That's still sitting in the plastic. But I don't plan on opening that one. I don't know if I'll ever open the Stadia. I'll probably open it up, just look at the fucking Chromecast. But I'll put the controller right back inside of it. I don't fucking care about that goddamn thing. But yeah, doing okay. Otherwise, it's been a. I did actually end up getting a bunch of gaming in last Sunday, and then I played a little bit of games Friday night, and then played a little bit this morning before I went to work, and then a little bit more when I got home from having dinner with my parents. So I have actually. Well, why don't we just jump right into it, Gables? Do you want? You care if I just go first?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
All right. So I played a couple games. Well, I beat 2 games actually this week. So I do want to talk about. Okay, so real fast. During the trip I was on, they had like the first real firmware update for the PS5, and I had no issues with anything. Like everything ran fine. For the most part, like I didn't have like no freezes or crashes, nothing like that at all. And then and like I said, I didn't play any games on the trip. When I got home, when Friday night, I played some Astro's Playroom. I want to check it out, and I played like 20 minutes of it. The night it came out, the PS5 came out, and okay, yeah, I want to check it out. And then like multiple times where like the thing just froze on me for like 30 seconds, but there was still sound and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, it must have crashed. I went to go unplug it, and I started booting up again. And then like where I just went to like a crawl where I was doing like 10 frames a second. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But it was weird because like the sounds weren't like chugging, but like it was just weird. I've never seen this happen in games before. And I played this one level, beat it, and it froze on me. Like at the end of it, like you take off on a jet or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, and it just froze. But there was still sound and everything like that. And I'm like, I waited about a full minute because I'm like, well, maybe it's gonna do what it did a couple times before, where it just froze for 30 seconds and then it fixed itself. And then nothing. I'm like, okay, so I had a completely like I couldn't even power it down. I had to completely unplug it, plug it back in. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm really enjoying this game. I want to play it again. I'll go back and play this level again. And I went back, beat the level again. Exact same thing happened to me.
Wow.
So like, fuck. I'm really enjoying that game, but it's like, I mean, don't follow that game, but it's just, I don't know. I've heard that's happening to a lot of people now, where there's been a lot more like random crashes and shit when they're playing. And so far, that's the only time I've actually seen it happen to me while playing. And then, because I played a few other games. I started playing some Sackboy last Sunday, and I've only played the first 3 levels, and I don't want to judge it too much. It's very much feels like a 3D world Mario 3D World knockoff, but it's like, it's like the first 3 levels of Mario are very simple, and it's more of a tutorial. So I want to jump more into it, but I've enjoyed what I played so far. But it's kind of like if you gave like the Yoshi's Woolly World guys, like and said, hey, make a 3D world game, but like with your graphics style, and that's what this is. That's what it feels like. And yeah, like I said, so far it's fine. But I want to get 2 more because I heard some of the levels later on are pretty great. So I can't wait to jump into that. But I'm having fun when I played it so far. And I beat, so accidentally, didn't even mean to do it. Last Sunday I got up early, and before football started, and I played a few hours of it, but I haven't of Miles Morales, but ended up beating on Sunday Miles Morales.
Oh.
But
wow.
Yeah, I mean it's a shorter game. Like we've always, it's like the Lost Legacy kind of thing. like it's not very long, but there's like, I mean, if you could there's probably 15-20 hours worth of content in there if you do all the side stuff. But I was just so engrossed with the story with Miles Morales, and I just could not stop like doing the missions. And I definitely tried out at least 1 or 2 of each side mission that there is, like different type of side mission, and they're definitely far superior than the there's a lot less of them, but there's far superior than the ones in some of the ones in Spider-Man, because like some of the ones were just like garbage. There's like the score, there's like a time attack one, I think, or a score attack one. There's the ones where you got chased the fucking pigeons, and there was just more of them. And this one, there's only a handful of different types, and they're all better. Like it's like they basically took the best parts of the Spider-Man 2018 ones and just put them in there in Miles Morales, which I'm totally fine with. But I played a little bit of each of them, and there was a couple of side missions that actually like are like could have been like main story content that you can do, and I really enjoyed those ones. And like at the end, you have like a nice little surprise with a villain in the game, and that was really cool. I really enjoyed that one. But for the most part, 90% of my time was spent just plowing through the main campaign, and I kept playing. I'm having a fucking blast. The next thing I know, I got to that part where it's like you're at the point of no return part of the game, and like it tells you like at this point you like this is like you're basically at the final stretch of the game, and I'm like fuck yeah, I want to know what happens. So I ended up plowing through that, beat it, loved this game, so fucking good. I won't uninstall it. I don't want to sell it because I like legitimately want it's just a blast to play. But it's like I said last week about I was talking about Miles Morales, where it's like I'm going back to talking about Spider-Man, where it's like the Spider-Man is like a really great open world game, which I'm not. It takes very few to actually like suck me in like that. Like maybe you might see one every year or two for me that really engrossed me when there's a million that come in every year. And that one really sucked me. But on top of it, it was probably the best story of any open world game I've ever played. It's up there. Like it really is. Like, oh great, my upstairs neighbor is playing his guitar right now. It's 11:30 on a fucking Saturday night, but asshole. But anyways, yeah. So I really, like I said, I really liked the story, and like that was my main issue with like Spider-Man. I didn't want to quit playing it, but it's just like I want to know where the story goes, and I was having a blast with those characters, and kind of more of the same. Where it's like it's a good problem to have, where it's like I really enjoy playing your game, but I need to know what happens in the story, and I, like I said, plow through it, love it, adore this game. It's hard. I don't know. It's hard to like judge the games side by side, like we'll say which one's better, because it's like Spider-Man 2018. Like I put 30 plus hours into it easily. I bought the DLC for it, played through all of it, but the last part, I didn't really care for the DLC. The DLC was not great, but the story was interesting, but the gameplay itself was not great. Or like the game content was not great because it was just like we're just gonna throw a million villains at you for no reason whatsoever, and it was very boring. Yeah, like Miles Morales stands very well on its own. Like you definitely want to play 2018, don't get me wrong, but it's not hindered. It's not some just like little side thing you can skip over. It's like if you love Spider-Man 2018 and you want more of it, like this is a good way to go. I love what they did with like kind of growing the character of Miles, and it's just like I love like some of the ways they did with Miles, where it's like he's only been at this point he's only been Spider-Man for a year now. It's like, and in Spider-Man 2018, I think Spider-Man Peter's been like 5, 6, 7 years of being Spider-Man. Yeah. So you can tell like he's been doing this for a long time. He knows what he's doing. And it's like you can kind of tell like Miles is like he's like still kind of like he doesn't swing with as much, like it's not like as smooth as Peter when he swings. It's like it's a little more like clumsy, and like the way he lands, the way he like this, you could just tell the little I can't say the intricacies, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Thank you. The way he just does things, it's not as subtle, it's not as smooth, it doesn't flow as well as
more like he's learning to control his superpowers pretty much and how to perfect it. It sounds
yeah, and like he like literally still learning the powers as he goes. Like he gets like some like he doesn't even have all his powers yet. When he doesn't have his electricity powers, he doesn't have his invisible powers like Miles Morales actually has in like the comics. Like if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, like he doesn't have those yet. Like and he's like learning these abilities as the game progresses, and all of his like, even like some of his like upgraded abilities they can get. But what a great game! I love that game. It's so good. But anyways, moving on to another game that I finished. I actually just finished it right before we started recording. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Okay.
Yeah, the title is longer than the campaign. Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed the characters in this game. It's probably the best ensemble cast of characters yet for a Call of Duty campaign. But the campaign is like really short, even for a Call of Duty game, where it's like they're usually like 5-6 hours. Like I beat this in a little over 3 hours.
A little over 3 hours. You actually went for it. Did you see the in-game timer for it? Did it have like that option?
No, but just kind of because I beat it pretty much all in 2 sittings. Like I played a little bit. I played the first 2 missions last week, and then Friday night I played for about an hour, and then I played for I guess 3 sittings in. So I played for about an hour last night. This morning I played for maybe 30, 40 minutes at most, and then I played about 45 minutes when I got home and finished it. Like I literally got to like there is literally a point of no return before you go into the last section of the game, and I got to that part before I had to go to work this morning. So it's like that's where I stopped. That's the reason I stopped where I did.
Oh, I see.
So it's like I mean like literally like it's 3.5 hours to beat the, and then there's like, and that's with me doing like looking for a lot of, because there's like evidence you can find throughout each mission to like you can use to like you have to decipher codes, or there's like side missions you can do where you have to like find stuff throughout other missions, and you use that and you decipher codes to unlock evidence to go into those missions to like find locations or figure out who the enemy is or figure out whatever. And I found all of that, did all those missions, and I think there's like 2. I think there's only 2 side missions. At least that's the 2 I did, and that's the 2 that were available to me. I did those, and there's actually like there's 2 different endings you can have, and I did the one, and I looked up afterwards like what the other mission is. And it's definitely the bad ending. It's like the bad guy ending.
Right.
But it's like that mission seems a lot more cool than this one did, because it was just I don't know. It ended, and it was just like the twist at the end. I'm just like, okay, it's not awful, but it's kind of sucks. And then like the last mission is just like, oh, okay, that's all right. That's just okay. We're ending like this. Okay, all right. That's very disappointing. But like I enjoyed the entire campaign up to that part, up until basically like the last like 30 minutes of that game, where I was just like the twist and the last mission were just like the weakest part of that game. The last mission was definitely very weak. It was just like, okay, all right, well, oh, that's it. I was stunned. It was like a Destiny moment for me. I'm like, that was the end. That was the last section. That was it. Like we're done. We're at the credits now. Okay, so I don't know. I said, I liked it a lot. They really fumbled the last section for me. And the other mission, the bad guy mission, seems way cooler. So if you guys are playing the campaign or plan on playing it, the bad guy mission is the way to go. But yeah, I don't know, it was fine. I don't know. It was good. I was frustrated. I mean, but like I said, it was like the ending sucked, and it was just frustratingly short. And I knew it was short. It's a Call of Duty campaigns. Like I said, they're not very long. You can usually beat them in 5-6 hours, and I knew that going in. But this was ungodly short, and that's what like I don't know. Like I would have enjoyed a lot more time with those characters, because I enjoyed it. Like I actually like enjoyed talking to them in between missions, like you could, and learning more about them and their past, and learning more about just when they talk what they think of the other characters. Like I enjoyed all that. Like in a Call of Duty game, that was actually fascinating to me. And it's like it was almost like a Ocean's 11 type thing. It was like, but like government shit, like deep undercover shit. But yeah, so that's what I'm playing this week. Beat one fantastic game, one meh game. What about you, Gables?
All right, so like I was mentioning earlier, my crux of this week has been split between playing Destiny 2 and doing another playthrough of Persona 5 Royal. Oh, wow. So it's like, for Persona 5 Royal, I'm already back at the second palace. I've already maxed out all my social, my social ranks in regards to the social status stuff, to where everything's all 5 stars in terms of perception, for guts, for kindness, for proficiency and stuff like that. Actually, no, proficiency, knowledge, and whatsoever. So all those are like 5 stars. And I'm already to the point and stuff where I'm starting to level up even further. A lot of the stuff for New Game Plus is implemented into this playthrough, to where I still have my weapons. I still have a lot of my accessories and whatsoever. And the biggest thing is I still have my compendium from my last playthrough. I barely even had like 50% of the personas and everything all unlocked. And now it's over 50%. I definitely have new monsters, new personas I can fuse together or catch that I didn't the first time around. And the best part about it is there are some free DLC stuff that you can add to the compendium, and even some you can pay for via like a DLC content. Because I didn't know this about this game, but there is an actual $60 DLC that includes a few Persona that you can use, some boss battles with like the twins Justine and Caroline and stuff, in terms of facing off against the protagonists from previous Persona games, like for 3 and for 4 specifically. And also there are like various costumes, various accessory sets, kind of like cosmetic stuff as well. But I didn't know that before, like starting off my second playthrough. Some of it seems interesting, but basically what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get the Platinum Trophy for Persona 5 Royal. Yeah. That is my goal. That's what I want to try to do. And in order for me to do that, I got to do a couple things. One of them, I have to 100% complete the compendium. That Persona compendium, that requires me to be at level, be like in my 90s, quintessentially. I think I got close in my first playthrough, but I can do that now because I can just set my experience all the way up in Mementos, which, by the way, from Mementos, I don't have to recollect all those stamps like I did the first time. So I can immediately get the EXP all the way up to max for items, all the way up to max. That way I can go and get that. Or if I want to switch it up to, say, money that I earn, I could max out my money cap if I really wanted to. That's one of the biggest benefits of this new Game Plus for Persona 5 Royal. You basically get to have things even easier. This time around, I'm playing it a bit more on a more difficult level. So I'm on normal as opposed to easy with my first playthrough. Because with easy, I kind of wanted to ease myself into the game experience itself. Because I'm a firm believer of if I don't enjoy playing a game on easy, then there ain't going to be much for me to prompt to play it through on normal or hard or whatever it is afterwards. But I'm already getting better feel with my party of characters and what I want to do. I'm starting to get closer in terms of maxing out one of my confidants with Ryuji. He's one of the guys that you meet early on in the game. He basically has this one persona by the name of Captain Kidd, who's just a gigantic skeleton pirate that rides a ship that he summons. So it's basically, he's a physical attacker predominantly. And the fun thing about this game that I've forgotten to mention previously, that when you use a physical sort of attack, like a special physical attack, I should say, you spend HP in order to use it. So depending upon how strong the attack is, these physical special attacks, you can basically have it to where you could spend maybe 30 HP here, or maybe you're going to be spending about 70 HP here. But it all depends upon if you have a special a ability in regards to you can cut down certain usage of a specific thing. So let's say I fuse 2 Persona, and they have this. One of them has the ability to where it could decrease the amount of usage a specific thing can do. I could do that. Say, for example, if I wanted to do that type of attack, like I did with Captain Kidd, and it would be less in terms of usage and stuff as opposed to just doing the full-on stuff. I do like inside of this game where there are intricacies like that you can add, and there's also intricacies in some confidant roles where that plays into effect. Like, for example, with the whole duel, these twin wardens here, Justine and Caroline, in order to level up your level, sure, you can go through and show them around the town and this and that, but they will ask you to bring them specific personas that either have an ability or they have something else entirely. So the first one that they wanted to present you with was with a Jack Frost with Mabufu, which is a ice attack that's just a basic light ice attack that he learns. So I already had that from the get-go, so that. Another one was another persona that needed Frey, and this monster was from the next dungeon that I'm currently on right now. And so I did that, and now the next one is going to be involving doing a group guillotine sort of thing, to where I have to fuse 3 personas together in order to create this one with this attack. So what I'm saying is, it's like for this, you are unlocking certain group personas, but also you're unlocking certain ways to fuse these monsters together. I think that's pretty fucking cool. But yeah, it's just been more of that. But my main game that I've been playing this week has been Destiny 2 Beyond Light. That expansion came out last week, I want to say. Not last week, but the week previous. I bought the game this last Monday. So, my friend and I, we spent a good solid chunk of Monday on my day off playing through the entirety of the campaign for Beyond Light. And it was a good solid 5, maybe 5.5 hours of that. So it was a good chunk to get that all straightened away. But I gotta admit, man, the main campaign of it, it was interesting from beginning to end. On a quality level, I did like that as opposed to going through previous Destiny expansions that I had gone through. After I finished that, and after I went through all the various stuff, I started doing things like certain bounty quests, certain exotic quests that I'm still working on. But I can tell you what, man, it's like the amount of new stuff they introduced inside of Beyond Light, from new particular weapons, this new hub world you're exploring, Europa, to where you have a character that you can get bounties from by the name of Varix. You save him throughout the various story, and you defeat this replacement like leader for the Fallen. So you have to defeat her, and she has these other 3 field generals you gotta go through and beat as well. And you can actually repeat those bounties to where you can get like various items, say like certain legendaries, maybe the occasional rare exotic drop. But yeah, the game has been a freaking blast to play, because I've been getting so much incentive for good armor, good weapons. I've unlocked quite a few exotic stuff now. I'm happy to report that with my Titan, I went from 1050 when I started Beyond Light. I'm now at 1218, and I'm gonna be aiming to get this character maxed out if I possibly can. In which the cap right now, I believe, is 1260. 1260 is like a raid sort of stuff, and I think 1230 is like the soft cap. I need to check in on that, but I'm getting fairly close to getting where I need to go. There were some new missions that were added today, and that was after the first fire teams were able to beat the raid that came out today. So I was able to go through a little bit of that before recording. My friend has helped me get this new exotic quest that just came out today. Just beating a bunch of Vex, beating a whole bunch of these like big boss creatures in order to get to like the next step. And the end of this exotic quest is for an exotic sword, which I am looking forward to, because sword-based weapons are one of my favorites, along with certain auto rifles. Like, for example, I've been using a lot of this one exotic weapon called Sweet Business. Sweet Business is a Gatling gun style of auto rifle. I know, right? It sounds pretty sweet, and it is pretty sweet. It uses only primary ammo. Not special, not heavy. And the best part about it is my armor, I can insert a mod inside of some pieces of my armor to where I can find primary ammo more apparent than any other type. So the thing about it, man, is like if you get this thing strong enough, it eats through enemy shields like it eats and slices through them like butter. I've went through so many missions with my fire team and stuff where I have been mowing down enemy after enemy after enemy and taking out guardians like online through like Gambit matches and Crucible and like certain like strikes doing this stuff. It is so fun to use. My main goal is to try to earn enough stuff, resources, to where I can get this Cade 6's hand cannon that he had, like the Ace of Spades. That one is supposed to be a really good exotic weapon, and so I've been trying to get that in that regards. Otherwise, I had learned something new in regards to Destiny 2. So on my phone, I have the Bungie app for like Destiny 2.
Nerd.
I know, right? I found out I can actually switch my armor and my weapons between my different characters if I wanted to. So I can do that without having to power up the game and equip stuff. Like, go through the whole process of that. And so my hunter, I actually got my hunter up to like about 1135. It was at 1050, and my warlock was even lower than that, like 900 and something. Got up to about 1116. But yeah, man, I'm finding more enjoyment out of Destiny 2 now. God, over the past couple months, I've started to get back into Destiny 2, and now I feel like I'm full on board playing this game more so than I was in the original Destiny. As a matter of fact, here's a fun statistic for you. Back before Beyond Light released, I checked how much time I had played with the first two Destiny games. So, Destiny 1, I spent a total, for this generation, 83 hours, 22 minutes. For Destiny 2, it was 82 hours, 23 minutes. It was just an hour difference before Beyond Light. Since then, I had chalked up, I kid you not, another 20 hours with that easily. I have gotten over 100 hours now for Destiny 2, and that is quite an accomplishment for me. As regards, I was not interested in a lot of Destiny 2 to start off with. I gave the game a rest for a good solid year before going back to it. My friend, my same friend that I've been playing games with and stuff throughout the weeks, actually lured me back into try to get me back into Destiny 2, and that's what we've been doing. Him and another friend of ours, we've been hitting these exotic-based weapon quests, all these like Gambit stuff. We're constantly earning good loot. Bungie, since separating from Activision, I feel like has done a better job in terms of making the game feel a lot more rewarding and makes you want to go through and experience and play it as a whole. Sure, they have dropped the ball in some aspects, some areas. There are some glitches. There are some things that are still prevalent even after various updates. Like, for example, you remember the whole thing about the loot cave in the original Destiny?
Oh yeah, that was a big ordeal.
Yeah, there was something similar to that with after Beyond Light released. There was a area near the Cosmodrome where if you defeat a lot of enemies, like the fallen enemies in this specific field, you could get them like at their spawn point where this where basically they spawn inside this one various like little hut or something like that. And so my friend and I, we had like about us and like four or five other guardians going through and killing a whole bunch of these guys and just getting a whole bunch of engrams and like whatsoever. And like I got some good stuff. My friend, my first 5 minutes of us trying to farm this area, he gets a fucking exotic drop. I'm like, God damn it. But as soon as we started a couple nights ago, the whole Shadowkeep DLC, that expansion, like not even the first main mission where we're facing off against like the Ghost of Omnigul, where like I get an exotic drop and it pisses everybody else off in the party. Like, hey, I got an exotic drop. I'm like, God damn it. Oh shit. But right, that has been it. As far as any other types of gaming stuff, I'm gonna see if I can find something like possibly tomorrow, possibly maybe the next week. Obviously, I got other things I got to go through and do for the next couple weeks, but at the same time, I may invest inside of a new game sooner or later.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Well, very cool, man. Kind of a light week this week. You know, we're kind of talking before the show. It's like seems like pretty much all the games are out, all the news is out there. I think.
Yeah.
The next big thing we're gonna have like next week is Thanksgiving, so I'm assuming it's not gonna be a crazy week. And then I mean, really, the rest of the year. So we got the Game Awards, which we'll get to here in a little bit to talk about. But that's so I think it's gonna be pretty interesting the rest of the year how things go. But I feel like it's like I said, the big games are out, which is nice, and it's I don't think there's gonna be too much more news, especially as we get towards closer to Christmas, when most places shut down for the holidays, especially in the gaming world. But some big shit that did happen is Capcom had a pretty major leak on its hand. They were hacked earlier this week, and they basically said you either pay us this money or we'll release the stuff out to the public. They basically said go ahead, kind of thing. And I think 350,000 accounts were possibly in jeopardy. Some of the information got out there, so hopefully all that gets taken care of. But yeah, so it's a pretty big breach here. A lot of details. So it was frustrating. Is a lot of I was trying to find a article that just kind of put everything all in one, but nobody really did that. So it's I have two different articles here to kind of run through.
Well, I know that Capcom had been adamantly trying to take down certain elements of information, especially on YouTubers.
Yeah, but it's just when shit like this happens, people always try. It's the internet. It's gonna get out there.
Of
course. You can do about it. I know a lot of the Reddit posts and shit got taken down, but there's only so much you can do. But no credit card information was out there was stolen or anything like that. So no big financial worries like that. But some stuff that was coming out of there was so we have basically the tentative release periods for the next 4 years. A lot of the stuff is has code names or not official names. So
right.
First up we had Resident Evil 8 is right now scheduled to be released at the end of April, and there's going to be a demo sometime before that next year. And then we have something else called Resident Evil Outbreak, which is coming out in the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2021. So that's, I think that'd be what was that, early? I guess I don't know how their fiscal years work for Capcom. So I don't know. That's what I hate something about fiscal shit, is because everybody's different. But Resident Evil Outbreak is Q4 fiscal year 2021. Dragon's Dogma 2 is out there for Q2 fiscal year 22. Street Fighter 6 is fiscal year 22. Rockman Match, which is actually Mega Man in North America, is for fiscal year 2022. There's a Resident Evil 4 remake on the horizon, which was been leaked, which was a rumor for a long time ago. Some leaks earlier this year, and I think a lot of people knew it was happening. That's tentatively planned for 2022, and also there's going to be a VR part of that too. I don't know what that is. Monster Hunter 6 is in development, which is no big surprise. Technically, it's basically Monster Hunter World 2, what probably would it be, because I guess Monster Hunter World was technically the fifth Monster Hunter game in the mainline series. Another game called Biohazard Apocalypse, which I don't know if that's no real idea if that's a Resident Evil game or not. There's a Super Street Fighter 6 that's planned for fiscal year 2023. So Street Fighter 6 is 2 years away, but they've already got plans for the Super Street Fighter in 3 years. Final Fight remake is scheduled for a fiscal year 2024. Power Stone remake fiscal year 2024. Ultra Street Fighter 6 is planned for fiscal year 2024. And then something called Resident Evil Hank, likely Hunk is what they meant, is scheduled for 2024. That's for the first article. And then another article here has it kind of breaks down some of the plans. So Ace Attorney is it's a beloved franchise, mostly on the DS. This comes from the article, has a dedicated fan base, and they may be hungry for a new release. According to the Capcom Leak, fans have a brand new game in the series to look forward to the next year called Ace Attorney 7, which will evidently launch at some point in Q3 of next year. Those in the West may also finally get to play the great Ace Attorney games, which were originally released on the 3DS, but never launched outside of Japan. Apparently, Great Ace Attorney will be announced for PS4, Switch, and PC at some point in April, with a planned with a July 2021 release date. If the leak is to believe, Great Ace Attorney will have trophy support, new quality of life enhancements, and more, with both games bundled together for $40. All of the DLC that was released for the original Great Ace Attorney games on 3DS will also be included. Meanwhile, in Japan, a special bundle that brings together Great Ace Attorney along with the original Phoenix Wright. That bundle is rumored to be in development for PS4 and Switch. Also, Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter World is one of the Capcom's most successful games ever, and it's no surprise that the game has big plans for the franchise moving forward. According to the leak, Capcom is bringing Monster Hunter Rise, the upcoming Switch exclusive, which we heard about earlier this year. It's coming at some point, and it'll also be coming to PC, and it's planned for October of next year. Switch owners said there's a playable demo to look forward to, along with some time exclusivity rights. And then Monster Hunter Stories 2 will also have a PC port, has a PC port in the works, and right now the game is planned to come out sometime in June. They'll have some co-op and some PvP and DLC expansions on the Horizon 2, and then Resident Evil 8. Kind of already gone over some of it, but evidently Capcom is working on Resident Evil 4 VR as a port for Oculus, along with some kind of Resident Evil multiplayer project that's due for release in September 2021. The Resident Evil multiplayer project goes by the codename Project Highway or Village, which has led to the speculation that is tied to the upcoming Resident Evil 8. Details on what exactly it will entail remain scarce, but apparently it will be a battle royale. So yeah, and also they mentioned how there's going to be a demo for Resident Evil 8 sometime at the beginning of next year as well. A lot of information here, Gables. Kind of what's your takeaway from all that?
Definitely a lot of information all at once, obviously, in regards to the whole leaks, the hack that Capcom had. There are a lot of things that are kind of a no-brainer, a no-shit sort of moment. We knew Street Fighter 6 would be coming. They've already went through. It's a Capcom tradition at this point where they release a mainline Street Fighter game and there's like a couple of iterations. It dates all the way back to the 90s. Absolutely does.
Did they do that for Street Fighter 5 though? Because I thought that was the bigger deal. Okay. I thought they said they weren't going to do that with 5.
With 5, they absolutely did that with 5. I mean, they did the original Street Fighter 5, then there was an arcade edition, and then the last one is sort of like the Champion sort of edition. But at this point in time, they had announced more DLC fighters coming over the next year or so. I know Dan Hibiki is supposed to be coming out pretty soon, and then there's going to be other characters that are going to be coming in next. I believe Oro, and then there's like there is a character from Rival Schools that was going to be coming out sometime next year. But Capcom has already said they're planning on supporting Street Fighter V for like another year with DLC content.
Okay.
So if like what this thing is going through and they actually release on time, bearing any type of delays or cancellations from other games, so Street Fighter 6 we are expecting in 2022. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, that would make more or less sense considering the DLC plans they have in mind. But I'm very excited about a couple of announcements. Well, not announcements. A couple of things I see on the list. Power Stone, that remake. There hasn't been a Power Stone game since on the Dreamcast on the PSP, now that I think about it, because there was a Power Stone collection with 1 and 2 on the PSP. But yeah, that's definitely a fun fighting game. It's more or less more like a Smash Brothers style of beat 'em up, only it's in a 3D perspective instead of almost like a 2D side, kind of like a flat fighting game, like a traditional fighting game, I should say.
Okay.
But for the other one, Final Fight remaster, I'm kind of iffy about that, only because Capcom hasn't had the best of luck with bringing Final Fight successfully to modernality in general. The last time they attempted something like that was for the PlayStation 2 back around the mid-2000s, and it was an absolute disaster. I was actually watching a video upon that game a few weeks ago, if not a few weeks to a month ago, and that was part of the reason why that series ended up lying dormant for so many years, up until the 360 PS3 era, where we had Final Fight Double Impact, I think it was. I think it's that, plus other constant re-releases of the original 3 games on various gaming marketplaces. Let's see. Resident Evil, no surprise there. Monster Hunter, no surprise there. The Ace Attorney stuff I'm very excited about, because there is a series of Ace Attorney games that never made it stateside. Love that series. Very fun. they're definitely top of that point and click adventure type of vibe, that vibe that you would have gotten from old PC games from Sierra back in the day, or if you were if you grew up around the DS era in the United States, to where the Ace Attorney games, they were niche. They definitely are still niche, but at the same time, there's a lot more people that are clamoring to play anything that's Ace Attorney related. It is awesome that the games have now since come on the Steam. The first three, I'm wanting to say. That's fun. More or less, it is a lot of stuff to be excited about, even if the knowledge of these games came under dubious circumstances, with somebody hacking and then exposing all of that information. I mean, that's got to be frustrating for any type of company. I mean, Nintendo has had that happen a lot over the past couple months, even going so deep as to leak certain company emails from that time, and it's starting to get really incredibly creepy in regards to how much information was taken. And I'm kind of wondering if there will be various changes in terms of what Capcom does in regards to certain game plans, game releases. I mean, they got a 4 or 5 year roadmap right now. You got to believe there's going to be something that's going to be canceled or something's going to be announced before then. But from the looks of it, they look like they've been doing a decent job with it.
Yeah. I mean, Capcom's definitely had a good run lately.
This generation, I feel like they've been very strong.
Definitely turned around where like things looked very bleak. Probably the beginning of this generation. We went on a big rant just a couple weeks ago about Resident Evil 6, so that's kind of where things were. I don't know. I mean, I look at this. It sucks to happen, and hopefully everything gets taken care of for the people who have their information leaked out there. But just trying to look at this from like it's exciting at the same time though, where it's like it's shitty the way it happened, but it's like it gets some ideas. Cause I thought Resident Evil 8 was a earlier game. I was expecting that to be a January, February game, and obviously like these dates are tentative. These are like, especially these ones that are a year, 2, 3, 4 years out. But it's all like other information came out there. Like I think it was like, I think Google Stadia is giving them $5 million to put the Resident Evil 8 on there, and then I believe it was Sony gave them $10 million to get the some exclusivities, like the Resident Evil 7 PSVR support, and then like some exclusivities for like DLC and shit like that. So it's interesting. Like, 'cause you always hear like they paid a bunch of money to get these rights. I'm like, how much is a bunch of money for them? Like, are we talking tens of millions? Are we talking a couple million? Like, so it's pretty interesting to see that number out there, get that floating around. That kind of gives you like an idea how much you're paying for that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think like Capcom, like I'm not the biggest fan of their studio. Like I've enjoyed the Resident Evil games lately. They've had a good, like I said, they've had a good run. The last few years, especially this year, I think, like I said, I beat 2, 3, and 7 this year, then tried again on 6. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really have too much to say on this. Like I said, it sucks, but it's awesome. Like some of the, I'm excited for the people because it seemed like for the most part, from like just based off the news that came out of it, a lot of fans are excited for what's coming. There's a lot of fans, like you were talking about, like the Power Stone final fight.
Yes.
Stuff like that. Like we didn't have a lot of details like on like what they are, what the plans are, even like a Street Fighter 6. Like Street Fighter 6 sounds like it's going through an interesting time right now because like the main guy just left earlier this year.
No. Actually left Capcom earlier on this year, so this is going to be the first one where he's not going to be having some form of an influence over what goes on.
There's been some arguments whether or not that might be a good thing for the future of the franchise or not, but I don't know. I think some of the stuff is pretty cool. I'm interested with the Rockman matches. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
It sounds like a mobile game, honestly.
Then that's what I thought, but it's over 2 years away. Like mobile, especially if it's like a match 3 type of game. Like those games don't take 2 years, 2+ years to come out. Like that's a game that's probably be. Go ahead.
Another guess that I would have is sort of similar to what speedrunners have done in a particular portion for Mega Man games. What I'm referring to is there are a subset of gamers out there that do this challenge to where they try to beat all the Mega Man bosses from the old school Mega Man games from like 1 to, I think it was like 1 to 10, 1 to 11.
Uh-huh.
They try to do it all in a row, honestly, and try to do the fastest time with that, you know? Maybe had something to do with like mix and match in terms of doing something similar to that, to where it's sort of like a gauntlet to matching certain, like a remix. You know how like Mario Remix has like specific like original levels you can go through and modify and then like do this and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it has something to do with Mega Man with this case, and that's probably why it's going to be like 2 years out. They're trying to plan on maybe remixing classic stages potentially.
Yeah, I could see that maybe.
That's just a guess, but man, it
Mario
definitely
Maker
would be an idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Well, I mean, like I said, like a lot of this information, we have no idea. Like, there's multiple, like I said, there's a fucking Resident Evil Battle Royale game possibly in the works here. That's weird.
As long as it's not a Mega Man Battle Royale, then I'm fine.
Oh, that'd be interesting. But I don't know. I just and then like the idea that there's gonna be a multiplayer mode possibly for Resident Evil 8. It's like, when are you guys gonna learn? You guys can't do multiplayer.
Resident Evil and multiplayer do not mix.
Just Capcom, really a multiplayer outside of like fighting games, they just can't do it. It's just, I mean, like Monster Hunter World, like that hurt, like no, everybody bitches about how clunky and bad that work. Like the game is great. Like you guys make great games, you just can't do. You can't. It's like it's like Nintendo. You guys make fantastic games. You just don't understand how the internet works.
That's so true.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what the fuck? It's just like the Resident Evil 3 Resistance. A multiplayer thing they put out with Resident Evil 3 earlier this year. It's like it's supposed to be terrible. I didn't even bother playing it, and I don't think a lot of people did either. So yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to hear more information about this. Like definitely, like Resident Evil 8 is the thing, one of the games I'm most looking forward to for next year, and the one of the games I want to hear more about. And hopefully,
oh yeah,
I'm sure we'll hear more. I think there was like some of the stuff. There's some details are supposed to come out, and like they were planning on talking about in January, anyways. So I mean, it's kind of nice to have an idea. Like I was thinking maybe we'll have some stuff for the Game Awards, but it's kind of cool that I'll probably hear a lot about this stuff in the next couple months. But moving on here to our next topic here. This is pretty cool news here that just kind of came out of nowhere. So IO Interactive, the people that make the Hitman games, they are developing the next James Bond game. They're making a 007 game. Oh, give me one second. I got to adjust my seat here. So I was like, we're doing a weird slope down thing. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that. So they're, this is a quote here from them. This is a new game starring James Bond that will tell the British Secret Service's operative origin story. Project 007, which is what it's called right now, will feature a wholly original Bond story exclusively as a video game, one in which players must earn their 00 status. So I think this is incredibly exciting. Like, I never played the Hitman. I played the Hitman games back in the day. I haven't played the new ones as they come out, but there are games I'm definitely interested in checking out. Just never got around to doing so. Hitman 3 comes out in January, and it's kind of great. IO Interactive kind of went on its own somewhere after Hitman 1 came out, and then like who was the Square Enix that owns the right? They own the rights to Hitman. They just
it's Crystal Dynamics, I believe.
Crystal Dynamics, yeah. So it's like they just like gave them the all right, you guys are going your own, and here's Hitman. It's like, and they like even talked about it's like nobody can do Hitman better than IO, and it's like it's awesome how well they're doing on their own, succeeding so well. And then on top of that, man, get James Bond, and I much like no one could do Hitman better than IO. I don't know who's a better developer to make a James Bond game than IO Interactive. What was your thoughts when you heard the news?
To be perfectly honest with you, I was kind of shocked that there was another James Bond game that's going to be released, because the last time we had a James Bond game was roughly around 2012.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace, wasn't it?
I think it was Quantum of Solace. That was a PlayStation 3 game at the time and Xbox 360. That one didn't fare too well in reviews, if my memory serves me right. but the last time,
2008 was when it came out.
okay, 2008 was when that
And it
came
was,
out. Maybe it
it was also on PS2 and the original Xbox.
Oh.
So
Oh,
it was on everything basically.
well, then the Wii had like a GoldenEye sort of game. Had like a 007 sort of game.
That is correct.
I don't
forgot
know.
about that. Yeah, so that was a lot. I guess GoldenEye would have been technically the last one. That was like 2010.
Okay, 2010. Okay, that sounds more or less what I'm thinking of here. That was the one that had the golden classic controller.
Yep,
Now
remember
that
Justin had
remember.
that.
That's pretty fucking cool, even regardless of that. But I'm kind of excited to see an origin story in regards to James Bond. It definitely has a good thing of potential, and I would be more comfortable with Iowa Interactive, considering they have mainline experience in regards to stealth-based action games because of their experience with Hitman games. So, yeah, I am pretty excited. What I'm thinking of, is this going to be just an entirely new character? Is it going to be that? Because I don't suspect them trying to get the likenesses of like past Bond people, say like a Sean Connery, because he's now passed, rest in peace.
Yeah,
but there is a lot of excitement there. I'm kind of interested in seeing what type of set piece moments are going to be added inside this game, because you better believe if it's a James Bond anything, there's going to be set pieces where it's going to be extremely extravagant. It's going to be crazy. But honestly, I'm kind of excited for this. I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. You know, it's definitely always a gamble to sign a licensing deal with companies, especially with big IPs out there. Like we see it all the time with like, you know, you're under a deadline. You got like, you know, like Fast and Furious Crossroads, or even like some like the Star Wars games, like with EA. It's just like, you know, it's tough to handle well. Hopefully they have a good deal worked out where they're not rushed and they have proper time to make a good one. Because it's like, man, back in like the GameCube and PS2 day, like there was actually a couple of pretty good, like they're always hit and miss. They were never like great. I'm not gonna say like best case scenario they're 8s out of 10s, but like Nightfire was a really good game I played on the game. I played a shit ton of on GameCube. I wasn't really much of a GoldenEye fan. Like I remember playing it when it came out, but I was just like, and it was definitely fun, but I never really got into it as much as a lot of other people did.
It was kind of the same thing with me, to where I played GoldenEye as a kid with some of my family members, my older brothers. We would play a little bit of multiplayer and stuff. My brothers would get pissed off because I would pick Odd Job, and they would hardly be able to shoot Odd Job. But my other experience with James Bond stuff, I mean, the other types of experience I can think of now is this past year, because I got the game Agent Under Fire, and I was playing that for the PS2, and it was like, holy shit, this actually, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I remember that one being good too.
About that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like I would like to come out and it's actually like a really good game. Like I definitely, like I am a fan of James Bond. Growing up, like being like I missed the heydays of the early ones, but like growing up, like I was at the age where like the Pierce Brosnan ones were like, I kind of aged well with the games where it's like, and Pierce Brosnan was not actually really good movies, but when you're a kid, they were actually really good. Like you enjoyed them quite a bit.
Well, yeah, because that'd be the first exposure that you would have at that point.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, we're young and dumb, so it's just like, it's an action movie, it's fun, and we enjoy it. We don't really worry about, you know, and then, you know, Christmas comes twice a year in James Bond, and then I like then kind of growing up, and then you get the Daniel Craig ones, and it's like kind of age well with us in that one too, where it's just like, oh man, like you're a little smarter, you know, you enjoy movies differently than you did, you know, when you're a teenager, or you know,
yes,
young, you know, before a teenager and then teenage years, and then it's like right when I'm getting like becoming an adult, and it's like Daniel Craig comes out with Casino Royale, and it's just like, oh, this movie is legitimately really good. You know, Quan Solis was still pretty good. I think it's not as bad as people say, but it's still good. And I've enjoyed the Daniel Craig ones quite a bit. So it's like, yeah. So I would love to have a good James Bond game come out. I hope this actually comes out and it's good. I know it's probably quite a ways off. But it's awesome news. Like I said, I don't know who can do a good James Bond better than maybe IO Interactive, because I mean you could argue that Hitman is just a really goofy James Bond. So like
Very
if they
true.
can find a way of like bringing him, and they're gonna make it in the same engine as the Hitman games. So if they can find a way to kind of tie what they do well into a James Bond game, then I think this game will be just fine.
For the love of God, keep it a first-person shooter.
Yeah, well, no, isn't Hitman third person though?
Well, Hitman is a third-person shooter though,
Yeah.
but traditionally I'd like to have like a first-person shooter James Bond game.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I think it's gonna be its own thing. I don't think it's gonna be tied to the movies or any of the characters. I think, especially being an origin story, it's like I think it'd be like they should just. If this is a multi-project thing, which we don't know if it is, but if they do, like it'd probably be best to be its own side thing and not tie into the movies at all. But moving on to our very last topic here. So the Game Awards are something that's coming up. I think on was it December 6th? I want to say. I'm not sure.
Oh shit!
It's coming up soon. December 10th. I'm sorry. So Thursday, December
Okay.
10th.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So we're about 2 weeks away. A little more. Anyways, the nominees came out for all of the awards, including the big one here, the Game of the Year award nominees. So all the other categories have 5, but the Game Awards, the Game of the Year always has 6. So that was kind of interesting. Some of the look at some of the titles, but I thought we go through really quick.
Okay.
Like not what we would vote for, but what we think would win for
All
each
right.
topic. So we got to think of it like that. Things I'm not going to do every single one because there's a lot of them like esports related and stuff like that. Let me scroll down. Here we go. So best multiplayer. We have Animal Crossing, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys, Valorant. My vote, if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking Among Us is going to win. What about you?
I feel like the Animal Crossing is going to be winning that, and only because of the fact that how influential that game has been as a whole since its release. Among Us is pretty much sparking the popularity because of the YouTube community getting that couple-year-old game out of like the obscurity and actually making it worthwhile and having it be like a fun experience. Because now people know the full potential of what that game is, and it's prompted its actual creator to make downloadable content for it. But I feel like Animal Crossing has the better shot of winning that award, only because of how the multiplayer is structured and how when COVID stuff first started going through, that was the game that people bought in mass alongside Switches. So I feel that's the multiplayer game of the year.
Okay. I think Among Us and Fall Guys are on here, and Fall Guys came out in September. Among Us kind of blew up a little bit around that same time. So I feel like those games maybe have an edge just because it's so recent. Like the votes just happened at the like about a week or two ago. So maybe those games being fresh in everybody's minds, that's what's gonna kind of make it put it over the edge. Next up, we have the best sports/racing game. Dirt 5, F1 2020. I might just skip this one because it's Tony Hawk, NBA 2K, FIFA, F1 2020, Dirt 5. I feel pretty confident saying I think it's gonna be Tony Hawk. What about you?
I feel like it's confident. There's no question it's going to be Tony Hawk.
Yeah, you have a lot of retread sports games, and then a couple racing games that are like didn't really blow anybody's socks off. So I feel like, yeah, I think we're pretty good at saying Tony Hawk. I'm gonna scroll some of these because some of these it's just best family. Here we go. Best family game: Animal Crossing, Crash Bandicoot 4, Fall Guys, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, Paper Mario, Origami King. I think that's easily got to be Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's going to be Animal Crossing as well.
Yeah, I think Fall Guys has a shot, but I don't think it's going to win.
No, I don't think so either. And even though Mario Kart Live stuff is out and about, it's not going to... I kind of feel like that it's not strong enough to where it could potentially contend with what Animal Crossing is as a family-friendly game.
Yeah, that definitely feels like it helped because it came out so late, and yeah, I like that game that has it's like it sells well, but I don't think it's gonna have the buzz behind it. So next up here, this one's probably more for you. Best fighting game: Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, and Under Night in Birth X Late.
I kind of feel like this is going to be a big competition between Street Fighter 5 and MK11 Ultimate.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Honestly, I feel like there's going to be an upset, and I feel like that Mortal Kombat Ultimate is going to take it, only because of the new DLC stuff has been fairly consistent in regards to the player reaction to it, especially with the DLC characters, say, like, not just Terminator, but also Rambo. That's one of those other ones. RoboCop. This is like a 80s kid's wet dream, kind of, because it's like you have all these characters that were instrumental in 80s action films, from Arnold Schwarzenegger with the Terminator, you had RoboCop, you have Rambo and stuff. Sylvester Stallone voicing Rambo in this game, mind you. A 70-something-year-old freaking Sylvester Stallone still going at it, voicing Rambo, man. But I feel like that's got the best shot in winning Fighting Game of the Year. Even though Street Fighter V, it has its champion, it has its final, I feel its final definitive version, even though it's got DLC another year from now. I don't feel it's as strong as opposed to MK11 Ultimate, so I kind of feel like that's going to be taking the cake.
Okay. Yeah, I think Mortal Kombat 11 will probably win because it had the Aftermath DLC also earlier this year. So
yeah.
Okay, that's a lot more of the newness. Moving on here to best role-playing game. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royale, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. I feel like it's I really feel like this is like a two-man race. I think Yakuza Like a Dragon, it's gonna get hurt a little bit because it came out literally the week. I think people that, so the people that vote on this are a lot of the like reviewing sites. So like IGN, GameSpot, Easy Allies, What Good Games, Kind of Funny, Venture Beat, a few other ones. Like I think there's like about 20 different sites that do like they each pick 5, but they don't put them in order, and they tally them through there. And I feel like Yakuza Like a Dragon, just being nominated right now, honestly, is a big for them just because it literally came out. I mean, obviously a lot of people, they get codes early, so that helps. But it's a game that probably they had a week or so to play. Like they even talked about like when they had a vote for a couple, Jeff Grubb, who I was talking about, and really enjoy him. He's not so much anti Game Awards, like he enjoys them, but he talked about like this year kind of sucks because like 2 or 3 days after everybody got the Miles Morales code, they had a vote for their nominees. So it's like there's a lot of big games that get released right when they have to vote, unfortunately. So it's like this one, he said this one feels kind of incomplete because of that. And I feel like Yakuza Like a Dragon making the list is a big achievement for them. But I think that's, being released so late because it was a Xbox Series X launch game. It's going to hurt it. But I feel like this is a two-man race really between Final Fantasy VII and Persona 5 Royal. But I feel like Persona 5 Royal it's an expansion. I mean, they just add a bunch of content to a game from 2017. Final Fantasy VII Remake, not only I think blew away expectations, but also is a game that it's a remake of one of the most beloved games of all time. 20-some years of build-up. So I feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to win this one. What about you?
To be perfectly honest with you, yeah, I do agree with you. It's definitely a two-man race in this case and scenario. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Persona 5 Royal, both releasing nearly around the same time. Actually a couple weeks apart, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah,
as far as what the gaming media has gone through, they have gone over the moon with Final Fantasy VII Remake. They have done a lot of stuff to make sure this game is receiving of great accolades in terms of like awards, in terms of great reviews and stuff. This is definitely, Final Fantasy VII Remake is definitely going to take this one.
Yeah.
I feel.
I think it'd be a much different argument if the Persona 5, this was Persona 5's like release year, and it didn't have its own. The Persona 5 didn't come out a few years ago.
Right.
Like if this was like its first time coming out, I definitely feel like this argument would be much different.
What's interesting to note, though, is inside of this release and stuff for RPG stuff, Persona 5 Royal is a game that released... Actually, no, Persona 5 in general was a game that released in 2017. its re-release here with the additional content for the Royal Edition. It's basically a 3-year-old game with added DLC inside of the complete package.
Yeah.
What I'm more so interested in is why another game wasn't added to this, in terms of overall. Because if that was the case, then a game like, say, Xenoblade Chronicles could have easily have been nominated in this regards, too.
I wish that we were able to see the the numbers, the votes, because at the end.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like that's some of that has to do with the fact. I mean, it's human. We definitely all get sucked into those late game when we do our Game of the Year awards. I sometimes have to you have that recency bias in your mind where it's I just played the game and it's oh man, I love that game, but so you just played it a week ago when it's you're arguing with the game you played 6 months ago kind of thing. So I think some of that has to do with that fact as well. But it's a game like Genshin Impact just kind of blew up about a month or so ago. So I think that might be the case for that too.
True.
That's also it's a remaster of a Wii game, so maybe that hurt it as well. But yeah. Moving on though to Best Action Adventure Game, we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and that game is eligible to be voted because it came out after the deadline last year, so that's why it's eligible this year. Much like Smash Bros. Ultimate was a Game of the Year nominee last year, even though it came out in 2018 because it came out after the cutoff. And then last but not least, Last of Us Part 2. So this one's really tough. There's 6 really good games here, but I think what's going to happen here, and you always see this when I really don't like these kind of categories because it's let's just say hypothetically, Ori wins Game of the Year, but it doesn't win Best Action Adventure Game. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But
True.
You talk about Greg Miller has talked about this a lot, and I've noticed when I was a kid, having subscriptions to Nintendo Power and Game Informer, where it's all right, well we're gonna they even talked about Greg Miller talks about when IGN when they would vote on who won. It's all right, so this game's gonna win Game of the Year, so we'll give it's an action adventure game. It's let's just say hypothetically, okay, they're voting. It's like I just said, well, Ori's going to win Game of the Year, so we're going to give it to Ghost of Tsushima for Best Action Adventure because that way everybody wins something kind of thing. And I even reading Nintendo Power, like I said when I was a kid, it's Zelda won Game of the Year, but something else won Best Action Adventure. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And typically you see that, not all the time, it's not 100%, but typically you see that. I feel like that's the way a lot of people go, where it's all right, well, we're going to vote for this for Game of the Year, so we're going to vote for something else for this other category. So I feel I think there's 2 games here that are in the Game of the so Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us are in the Game of the Year argument. I feel though this is a good one. I guess maybe Miles Morales will have a nice because after the nominees are announced, then they actually they vote and they rank them each a website that actually nominates them, and I think fan votes get 50% of the vote as well. So Miles Morales could have a good shot here, I think, but I'm actually gonna go with Ori. I think Ori's gonna win action adventure. What about you?
Here's what I feel. I feel like in terms of what the gaming media is going to go through and do, what these guys are going to go for and vote for, I honestly would be shocked if, say, Spider-Man Miles Morales wins this category. I feel like Ghost of Tsushima is going to take this category, and then Last of Us Part 2 will be the darling that wins plenty of awards, especially the Game of the Year stuff. That's how I feel like it's going to go.
Yeah, I feel
of how much glowing praise it's been getting from the gaming media this year.
Yeah, I feel I definitely think Last of Us Part 2 is probably going to be the game that probably wins the most awards. You usually see that in most award shows, but especially in game, but I don't really watch these, but it's like Lord of the Ring won 14 Academy Awards, kind of shit. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. Moving on here to but I feel Action Adventure is definitely a toss-up. 6 really good games there. Reviewed really well. People seem to love them that play them. And you can make a really good argument for all 6. But best action game. So we have Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, and Streets of Rage 4. Love the fact Streets of Rage 4 is nominated. Don't think it has a chance of hell winning. I think best action, that's tough because I can see, it's hard to say because Half-Life Alyx, neither one of us played it. Not really in my wheelhouse of a game I'm going to play.
Right.
But I could see Half-Life, Hades, and Doom Eternal all having a good argument. But I'm going to go to Hades because that game, people seem... I love that game. That's a great, great game. And the news media also seem to love that game. And people, like, just in general, like, love that game. So I think it's going to be Hades overall. What about you?
Yeah, I kind of feel like Hades will definitely take that crown in this category.
Yeah, I feel like Half-Life Alyx it maybe should win possibly, but it's hard to play because you have to buy the Steam VR system and also buy the game. It's tough to get into. Scrolling through here, not gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna go through all of these. No. Best indie game. Okay.
All right.
Carrion, which was it's actually on Game Pass. It's a game I would want to check out. Fall Guys, Hades, Spelunky 2, Spitfire. So all games got good praise behind it. All did reviewed well, but I think the big three out of this is Fall Guys, Hades, and Spelunky 2. What are you thinking for these?
It's going to be Hades. I feel like for best indie game and stuff, the best quality game, especially that has received a lot of great reviews, is going to be first and foremost. Fall Guys, I would say the close second, only because the game was popular for a long while when it first released, and it was basically a month until Among Us surged through popularity stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like Hades is the consistent choice right here. I feel like it's going to get at least multiple awards throughout that night.
Yeah. I we were talking about like Last of Us possibly being the one that takes the cake as far as like most awards, but I could see Hades stealing a lot of those awards. It's kind of like like the presidential election where it's like they're just taking a lot of those small counties, the small states, and it adds up a lot. And I feel like Hades could be that game where it's just like it took this award, took that award. And maybe it doesn't win. I don't think it's going to win the grand prize at the end, but I feel like it's going to do really, really well, and deservedly so. But I think I'm going to go Hades. I think Fall Guys is definitely. I think it's a close second. But like you said, like Fall Guys, like it was cool for a little bit. And it's fun. I don't think it capitalized very well on the success of it, and I mean, it's still doing extremely well. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I think the vast majority of people have kind of
Among Us. Yeah, I think Among Us kind of stole its thunder.
I think it's good to put it. Among Us kind of came out and stole its thunder, and like Warzone is new seasons, and Fortnite had its new season with all the Marvel stuff, and it's just. Then Hades came out. It's like then new consoles. It got buried, but I mean it's still doing extremely well though and all that. This is a good one here. Best performance. We have Ashley Johnson as Ellie, Laura Bailey as Abby, I'm gonna screw Dasaki Tajui as Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima, Logan Cunningham as Hades from Hades, and then Najee Jeter as Miles Morales from Spider-Man Miles Morales. Who do you think?
I think it's probably going to be Najee and stuff for Miles Morales.
I
feel like that's going to be the hit that's going to be out of left field that they're going to vote for, personally.
I look at this, and it's like, like they always have like the Cy Young in baseball where they vote for the best pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
And there's 5 finalists, but there's 2 teammates. And like everybody always talks about, and then you see a lot of times where it's like these 2 teammates are probably the 2 or the 3 most deserving, but those 2 guys are going to split a lot of votes, and the third guy is going to win because they split the votes. And I look at Laura Bailey as Abby and Ashley Johnson as Ellie, 2 of the greatest voice acting jobs I've ever seen in gaming ever. Like, fucking killed it. And I feel like both of those are very deserving. I love, like, either one of those. Like, I voted in these already for my picks. Personally, I'm not going to say them because I want to.
That's fine.
Okay, I'll say for the game of the year, I won't say. For this, I did vote for Laura Bailey, but it was close for Abby over Ashley Johnson as Ellie, but it was close. And still feel good about it. You can ask me any minute, and every minute my vote will probably change.
Right.
But I could see one of the other 3 taking it because I think Laura and Ashley will split the vote so much.
I see.
They almost did too much of a good job that. In the same game, not only in the same year, but in the same fucking game, that I could see either one of these guys winning the award because of that.
But in terms of that good and quality and stuff, they may have split it down the middle exactly to where you have someone like say Naiji with Miles Morales'
That,
performance.
and that's what I'm thinking is like, yeah,
that's what I feel like could take that.
yeah. In the end, I'm gonna say one of the women from the from Last of Us Part 2 wins it. One of the two. I'll say Laura.
I think it's
I'm
probably going to be Laura Bailey personally when it comes to Abby. What I think goes overall, but I kind of feel like yes, Laura Bailey has the best shot, but I feel like that Naiji is going to take that out of left field.
I feel like I feel like if anybody's gonna take it, that's not those two girls. It'll be Naji. I hope I'm saying that right. Logan Cunningham did a great job as Hades. I didn't really care too much for Jin Sakai. Like he did a good job, but the character overall didn't blow me away.
It was standard. It wasn't like say an above and a beyond performance or something like that. But it's fine. It's passable in my opinion.
But I mean, maybe it's because I have Miles Morales fresh in my mind, but he fucking killed that game and as a voice actor, and I hope he gets more acting jobs. Maybe he has more out there I don't know about, but he has that. I don't know how old this guy is, but he plays a kid in this game, so that kid's got a bright future. But God knows he could be 40 for all we know. But I feel like in the end, one of the Laura Ashley is going to steal it, and it'd be well deserved. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of the other guys takes it. Moving on here. Ooh, this could be a good one here. Best score in music, and this one was hard for me. This one was really hard. We got Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and Last of Us Part 2. All of which had really good. I played 4 of these 5. I didn't play Will of the Wisp, but I know the music from Will of the Wisp. I love the music from Will of the Wisp. They always focus on the music, even at the E3 presentations. Even just playing the original Ori and the Ori game. I'm gonna go Ori with the Will of the Wisp, but my personal pick would be Hades because I love Darren Korb. He does a fantastic job in all Supergiant's games. What about you?
That's a tough one. Not having played a lot of them and having some experience, say playing The Last of Us Part 2, I am not really too sure in regards to what's it immediate would pick. I mean, obviously the first thing I would think that a lot of the gamer like the judges and stuff are gonna probably pick is probably Last of Us Part 2. But
Gustavo is fantastic. The music in Last of Us is also great. Sorry to cut you off though. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's no problem. I feel like that what initially is going to be voted on is probably going to be Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's how I kind of feel in that regards from that. But it's more or less like classic stuff. I could see that potentially getting the nods for soundtrack, like for music. But honestly, Ori does have a great shot with this thing too.
Yeah. I think personally, Final Fantasy VII is the one I can play the music in my head from the other 4 games right now. And like I said, I haven't even played Ori and the Will of the Wisp, but I know the music from the other 4. And Final Fantasy VII, I put 40 something hours into, and I couldn't tell you the music from that game. Not saying it's bad, it's just doesn't stick out to me. But obviously Doom Eternal, Mick Gordon, fantastic at what he does. I feel like that's gonna be a really close race. Moving on. Best narrative. So it's best story in a game. So I don't even know what this game is. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Last of Us Part 2. That's got to be Last of Us, right?
Honestly, I feel like that they're going to go all for Last of Us Part 2 for best story.
Yeah. And I just looking at it, I don't think anybody was necessarily blown away by the Ghost of Tsushima storyline. That was bad, but I don't think it blew anybody away. I think it was good, but I don't think it's it's definitely not the best story. It's not. It's one of those storylines that I think stories that we're not gonna we're gonna be talking about long 10 years from now. At the end, next generation, we're not gonna go remember how great that story was. I don't think we're gonna have that. Hades, I think the characters in that game was really good. The story is whatever. The story, I should say whatever. The story is good. And it's an interesting story, but the characters in that game is what's great. If that, and I think the same with Final Fantasy VII. I think the story is probably my second favorite story of the 5 from a personal standpoint. Yeah, but I feel like Last of Us is going to run away with that category.
Right. I feel like that the amount of dark subjects that storyline does go through, that whole narrative stuff goes through the entirety for the Last of Us Part 2 is heavily going to be why most of the gaming critics and judges are going to go and vote for the storytelling narrative. I know that how polarizing a lot of that storytelling elements and stuff inside that game is probably a lot of the reason why it's probably going to get those votes. But at the same point, in comparison to, say, the other games that have released this year, a lot of their storylines, from what I've understood, is kind of like, safe in that regards to the actual, kind of like the status, not just status quo, but just like the average type of storytelling in that regards. For Ghost of Tsushima, it's like kind of like a revenge story and stuff like that, for Jin going through and doing all this and stuff, trying to save his uncle and then do this and do that. I haven't played through the entirety of that game or any of the other ones. I do know the story and the telling stuff like that for The Last of Us Part 2, because even though I have played a fair amount of it, and I have not even got to the Abbey portions of this stupid game yet, I've already know that how dark, foreboding, and everything else in this game, quintessentially, Last of Us Part 2, even though there are elements of this game that's great, it's misery the game, and it does reflect inside of the storytelling.
That's a great way of putting it.
Dude, I kid you not. Unlike other types of games that I have played, never have I played a game where I am just loathing the fact that I can go through and try to play it, even though there's some parts of it that are fantastic. It is very polarizing with that, and I kind of feel like the storytelling in that game is going to be the cause of why a lot of the gamer people, like the gamer judges and that, are going to vote that for the best storytelling stuff.
Yeah. And then moving on to our very last one here, Game of the Year. So we have 6 games: Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing New Horizon, and Last of Us Part 2. Before we get to what we think will win, what are your thoughts on that 6?
All right, let's see here. Tyler, please repeat the list again.
If you want me to, I could do a little go behind the scenes here. I'll do a little screen share for you.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought.
You're fine. So there you go. But yeah, so for people listening, we have Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, and then Last of Us Part 2.
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't see. I do not see Doom Eternal getting Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, I feel like, is definitely like having a shot because of how successful the game not only did. Also, it's Ghost of Tsushima, that definitely is along there as well. When I could adequately say, out of all these games that are qualified for Game of the Year, the ones that were sold out and profited a lot in terms of their actual game sales, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Animal Crossing New Horizons, I feel like these games right here, even like with Hades, all of these in this regards, I feel, are individually earning, like deserving of Game of the Year status in regards to any other types of year. Even though this 2020 has been crazy, not only with game releases, not only with just like how everything else has been going on in and of itself. I know The Last of Us Part 2, people are going to be, I know the whole gaming critics are going to probably vote for this for Game of the Year. But in my honest opinion, the one game I feel like that should deserve that Game of the Year for this set, I kind of feel should be, and I know people are going to give me flack for this, it should be Animal Crossing New Horizons. The reason why I say that is because even in regards to how much bleak, how much like fear, how much uncertainty in this times in the United States and everywhere else around the world with the COVID-19 stuff, this was the game that systematically united everybody in terms of the gaming community. 2 games released that day: Doom Eternal, one of the Game of the Year contenders, and Animal Crossing New Horizons. Nobody, even like after a week or two, remembers Doom Eternal. Everybody that has a Switch or wants to get a Switch is getting Animal Crossing New Horizons. And it's one of the most non-threatening games to come out inside this year. People love Animal Crossing for a reason, and it's distracting from the real world, and it's distracting of anything else. And all you're doing is going through, paying on your house, planting trees, doing this and doing that, communicating with other people. I feel that is the game of the year for 2020. All the other games on here, they have their fantastic moments. The Last of Us Part 2 has fantastic gameplay, in my honest opinion. I may have my quibs with it, but in terms of like the upgrade system, in terms of like the workbench stuff with improving weapons, even in terms of accessibility, in terms of how you can manipulate the difficulty, how you can manipulate like how you can see for options if like say you're colorblind or something, that's fantastic too. Hades, great game in regards to his action stuff. Ghost of Tsushima, it's fantastic to explore that world because you are doing all sorts of various stuff and feel like it feels like an organic experience to where you could be exploring the countryside. Next minute, you could be like writing a haiku. You can go through and do all sorts of various like exploring a fox dens. You could take out a whole squad of Mongolian guys and stuff like that and try to earn certain things. You can customize. That's awesome in that regards. Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's something the gamers have wanted for years. They've wanted it ever since that tech demo for the PlayStation 3. That in and of itself, I've only played a little bit of the demo. I still have yet to play that. I know it's a crime, but at the same time, that's a fantastic game. Doom Eternal, I've played some bit of it. It's a fun game. I do not feel like it's as strong as Doom 2016. I feel like in aspects, the gameplay, the game itself feels... There are some parts I feel like it's bloated, too long. The soundtrack is not as good, even as the original, like Doom 2016, even though it's still great in that regard. It's still Doom. You're still doing that stuff. But overall, I feel like Animal Crossing New Horizons deserves Game of the Year. Even though I don't feel like it will get to Game of the Year.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that. I feel like looking at this list, every year they usually have 6 for Game of the Year. Like even last year they had 6. I was actually just googling the nominees for last year. You had Sekiro, Control, Resident Evil 2, Smash Bros. Ultimate, Death Stranding, Outer Worlds. And remember last year that was the most. We always talk about last year was. I think a lot of people agree was a pretty down year for gaming. Not a bad year, but it was a down year. And that was a total crapshoot. And I mean, you would have asked me. I remember last year discussing. I thought Control was going to win, and stunned when Sekiro. Not upset, just stunned that Sekiro won it. I didn't really have a horse in the race for that one. But I look at this one, and this year is a very strong year. It's a very, very good year. And I look at these top 6. Doom Eternal is definitely the outlier in this. I feel like where it's like I was more hyped for, arguably almost as hyped for Doom Eternal as I was for Last of Us Part 2 going into this year. Like, I mean, Last of Us Part 2 was my most anticipated game for this year going into it, no doubt. But Doom Eternal, a very close second. And it came out, and maybe, like Last of Us Part 2 lived one of the most anticipated games of my entire life. Lived up to the expectations, blew it away. Doom Eternal, like, very excited for it. I mean, hyped for this game, just as a fun, game to look forward to. I had a blast with 2016. Had a blast with Wolfenstein 2, where it basically just was Doom gameplay, but in a Wolfenstein world, and it was alright. It's fine. It was really disappointing overall, and but it came out. It was fine. And like I enjoyed it at the time, but I was like after like 3/4, I was ready for it to be over. And that's just my personal feelings. But I feel like that was the case for a lot of people, where it's like that game reviewed well at the time, but it felt like after, like, very quickly afterwards, it's just like, oh yeah, maybe that game wasn't really that good. Oh man, maybe like I already just forgot about it. Just forgot it existed. So that game was like, I don't know what that 6th game should be. Maybe it's Fall Guys. Maybe it's Among Us. Maybe it's something that just came out. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe if in a different world, if we didn't have all these great games coming out in mid-November, it would have one of those games that had a shot. But I look at the other 5: Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, Last of Us. Ghost definitely probably deserves to be in that, just based off of overall feelings, and even still, especially with just the with the DLC they released for free in the last month or so.
All the multiplayer stuff. I mean, people
Yeah.
are going gaga over this damn
Yeah.
multiplayer. It's supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah, so it's not only a game that reviewed really well and a lot of people liked. It's still ongoing. People are enjoying that game, and it's still holding up. So I definitely don't think it's gonna win. I feel I look at this. I think Final Fantasy VII. It definitely probably deserves to be ranked. Not only was how highly anticipated it was, but also how much people seem to love it when it came out. But I look at this; it's a three-man race. I look at Hades, Animal Crossing, Last of Us Part 2. Animal Crossing, probably the most joy. Like I said, it's an escape from 2020. Last of Us Part 2, 2020, the video game.
No shit.
Best way to put it. And then we have Hades, that blew people away. I know it's been out in early access for about a year now, but finally coming out in beginning of September, and just surprising people, blowing it. And then it was like one of those games like it had some buzz around it. It was definitely like it was big enough that like Nintendo led a Nintendo Direct with it, and about it being shadow dropped. And then it was big enough. It had already had a decent like buzz around it, but it kind of was really a groundswell of support for like I was a game. I was like, even for me, like I don't like roguelikes, but I mean, that game hooked me in, hooks into me, and it just had a groundswell. Like something you don't see too often in gaming anymore. Like Among Us had that, but it had help from a very popular Twitch streamer. But I mean, it was awesome to see that. Like you don't see very rarely does a game come out of nowhere, kind of thing. And like Hades, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but about as close as you can come to from coming out of nowhere. Where it's just like this. It was a small indie game and it just blew up, and everybody was playing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which was awesome to see. I look at that, and also it's the newest of the three from a technical release standpoint. But in the end, I think it's going to be Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I mean, this is one of those years where I feel like this is... You look at some of the past years, and this one feels like one of the more open and shut cases for me. But I mean, if Animal Crossing or Hades wins it, I won't be stunned. But I feel like... I feel honestly, pretty confident.
I kind of feel like Hades is kind of like the underdog in this whole Game of the Year stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely the indie darling, which you usually have about one a year. Like Celeste was nominated 2 years ago, and God of War ended up winning that one. But I know there's been other ones in the past too. I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm sure if I looked at it, I looked at the list,
I'll tell you what, man.
Plenty.
I'll tell you what, Tyler. And compared to Game Awards of the past and stuff, this has got to be one of the strongest I've seen for Game of the Year.
Yeah, 2017's up there.
Yep.
But I feel like I'm gonna look at 2017 again. I know Breath of the Wild won.
I could definitely see like about 4 or 5 games here that could potentially take Game of the Year and people would be satisfied with it.
Yeah. I'm trying to find I want to look at 2017 here. Awards. All right. So here it is. Game of the Year for 2017. Obviously, Breath of the Wild. Nominated Persona 5. PUBG, which I forgot that game came out. Horizon Zero Dawn, and then Mario Odyssey. So they only had 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess there were 6 there. No, wait, only 5. 5 games that year. So yeah, I mean, really, really good year that year. So I'll tell you something. So yeah, I think it's up there. You can really well put those 5 against these 6 minus Doom Eternal. So yeah, really, I'm really excited for this one. I'm excited to see. Obviously, I always look forward to the Game Awards and what's gonna happen there. So I can't wait for December 10th. It's gonna be a good time. It'll be fun to see kind of the big surprises. It's gonna be the last hurrah, I think, until probably mid-January of like big news to come out. So can't wait. But Gables, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we are on everything. Facebook, there's a page and group, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, any subscription podcast service out there. We're on YouTube, twitch.tv. We're on all of them. Like, follow, subscribe, 5 stars, comment, review, whatever you can do to help us out. We really would share. Whatever you can do, we really would appreciate it. Retweet, whatever. It all helps us out really, really well. So appreciate you guys listening. I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, have yourself a fun week. Make sure you wear your masks and stuff, and do everything else to make sure you're happy and healthy. But most importantly of all, thank you for listening to another episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables.
Yep.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Excuse me. Few too many beers there. Anyways, we're on iTunes now, so go on there and check us out. And if you like us, leave us a review, and we'll even shout you out. And Jack will send you his credit card number.